Hello everybody, my name is Dude and welcome to Weird is Normal, Fateful. True statement. True, very, very true statement. But this is a visual novel about monsters and humans and the search for a job, I guess. He had no words. Didn't even have any thoughts. His mind just went blank upon seeing the envelope on his desk. Hello? How you doing? Who are you? He had laughed when his secretary had informed him about this, only to look curious when her expression had turned only more disturbed. That's a her? He had thought she was still joking, so he laughed again. Something inside him had sensed that she was serious, but he just didn't want to believe it. Just didn't want it to what? Okay, apparently our grammar is weird. Maybe I shouldn't be making fun of that, because maybe the writer's first language is not English. And I should be a little kinder, but okay. Believe that something like this could ever happen. And now this. Didn't she just send that thing away? Didn't even approach his table for surely 5 minutes. And even then, he walked up to it with the utmost care. He felt bile rise in his stomach from just thinking of touching it. If anything, he was grateful that the dark slime didn't smell as well, seeing as it looked disgusting. And the look wasn't even the worst part about it. Oh, we're the guy. Okay. We're the guy with the one eye and the okay. That was not a very nice shirt, dude. I could get you some nice studs if you like. You still have sleeves. I don't have sleeves because it's fucking hot outside, but you can have sleeves if you want. Drawing a long breath, he finally stood in front of his table and stared directly at the envelope, wondering how to even open it without touching any of the slime. Man up, dude! Get in there! Of course, you also could have a letter opener. You look to be a professional. He finally improvised by picking up his stapler and a pencil, trying to force the paper out of it, while making a mental note to throw both items away this afternoon. Not that he felt better when looking at the papers that came out. The paper was just soaked in the slime, though it was mostly the corners making them still readable. And it didn't make him feel better after all that meant he actually had to read it. There was a slight chance that his boss would let him off in this situation, but he didn't dare to try his luck after what had happened this last month. Groaning, he bent over a bit to start reading the first page. He was absolutely speechless. He had already reached page 27 and still couldn't believe what he was reading. And if he could believe the numbering, there were still another 73 pages for him left to read. Are we reading a short novel? I don't mind it, but like, fuck, dude. Someone would have told him this morning that he would really enjoy the writings of one of those. He would have declared that person insane. And yet here he was, captured by every word. Wait, are we a writer? I think in the summary of the game said we were a writer, or one of us was a writer, and we were like a publisher. It's fucking awesome. There are monsters involved, but are we slightly racist? The texts were of great variety, articles, essays, analysis, some seemed to be research notes, and others outlined for a bigger investigation that was structured for a long-running series of articles. The writing was simple and captivating, the wording interesting, the topics explosive and yet treated with a very sensitive feeling. The preciseness of every single formulation additionally showed the great care that had went into researching the topics. Even some of his best writers didn't have the raw talent that he was seeing right in front of his eyes. The only thing that showed him that it was still by an amateur were the occasional typos or grammatical errors. It was nothing that couldn't be fixed. They had paid staff to check for such things to begin with. He felt the desire to call the author instantly if it weren't for the slime. Leaning back once he reached page 64, he frowned heavily. What was he supposed to do? How should he react to this? His editor heart was very clear about how to react. Hire this person. Wouldn't matter as what. News articles? Done. Political debates? Sure. A historical novel with 3,500 pages? This person would probably write even more pages than that. If he would be able to change the race of this person, he'd hire her in the blink of an eye. We are racist. Wow. He hire one of those things? He had to consider the company, his co-workers. The thing was a threat to whoever comes close. It would cause fear, panic, chaos even. If the public could find out, could permanently damage the company's reputation. Hiring one talent would not make up for the damage of millions of readers abandoning the company's products. What to do? He was at a loss for words. His decision could really have a great impact here. If he'd hire that thing and everything would go well, he'd have a guaranteed increase in sales in whatever that person would write it. The work was just that impressive. But in the worst case, he could literally ruin a lot and cause many long-term workers to lose their jobs. He had to think carefully about this. In the end, all he got was a headache. He felt unable to make that decision on his own. And he definitely didn't feel like going up to his boss with the issue without at least a second opinion. There's only one thing left to do, but who to ask? Me! I'll do it! Oh. You're gonna go on speed dial, huh? Me and Edward on quick dial is requested. Whitney is 1, Edward is 2. Let me if you need any assistance. Oh. So Whitney is on 1, Edward and... Can I, do anything there? Okay, no I can't. Let's call Whitney. Secretary Laura Wimbledon. Oh, she answered quickly and seemed to know immediately what he wanted. Which was no surprise to him. After all, she had accepted that envelope to begin with. Still, he couldn't believe what he was about to do. Task Laura had that one task, to call that creature. Oh, we're calling him? Cool! Are we hiring him? We better be hiring him. She forwarded him to the number that belonged to that person, though he felt terribly nervous. He felt his hand shaking as he heard the phone beep. And he heard he heard how someone picked up the phone. Which is the only thing he heard. Good day? Now he began to actually feel more bothered about the silence than the creature that was possibly on the other end. Hello? Nothing. Is someone there? He heard something, but wasn't even sure what it was. Excuse me, I guess I got the wrong number. No. Couldn't help but jerk when he suddenly did hear a voice. Waited for a moment longer. It was a female voice. Maybe. She was very quiet, making it incredibly hard to understand. Am I speaking with Rita the Marish? He felt goosebumps on his arms for saying that, but tried to suppress any hint of disgust in his voice. I heard a sigh or something along those lines. Was that a yes? Yes. The voice seemed even softer now. He couldn't help but frown. If this was actually that creature, then it was timid and shy, which didn't work at all with what he had imagined so far. Well, you were racist just a minute ago, so maybe everyone else is a little bit racist, and maybe that's just made them shy. They have a passion for writing, and just because of who they are, they're just treated like shit. Hire this person! Fuck! My name is Bankman. I call regarding the position as a journalist in our company. Oh, so... Couldn't help but feel bothered, even starting to fidget himself. Something just made him uncomfortable, and it wasn't even the image of what she might look like anymore. I'd like to meet you in person to further discuss that issue. Okay. I mean, I really enjoyed reading your variety of work, but we would still have to discuss the exact specifications. Okay, by now I felt a little more than a bit annoyed. Unless you're not interested anymore. He heard something that might have been a sigh or some heavy breathing, but he couldn't tell. Yes, if you don't have any more interest in this position, then please... He almost jerked by a sudden loud voice that came through the speaker, even though the female on the other end seemed to get almost scared by it as she just gasped in shock. Oh. Silence and more breathing noises. I am interested. Such an odd person. Would you have time to come by our building this Thursday at 10 a.m.? Okay. He didn't even bother trying to talk more. Instead, he just said a polite goodbye and put down the phone. Leaning back, he felt exhausted. He had dealt with obnoxious people, with arrogant ones, with aggressive ones, but never with something like this. Something in him was bothered. Something in him was curious. He had heard terrifying stories about Marish ever since he had been a child, and this person just didn't do them justice so far. He wondered if it was an act. And oddly, he looked forward to the meeting, but it was all for the wrong reasons. Why? It was a cloudy day in March. Morning, about 10 a.m. Monday? Is it Monday? Morning. Okay, I was right. I'm glad that there's a back button on these Holy shit, that's great. Love that. More visual novels need that. He had informed the doorman and his superior about today's meeting, resulting in most journalists being oddly absent, either out of research or stuffed into offices. Nobody who would disturb him. Nobody to panic, except for him. He felt calm, or at least a lot calmer than he would have expected. Somehow he felt a bit more confident after the phone call, simply by how much of a pushover she had seemed to be. Don't think that. Don't think that when you were thinking racist shit there. You don't do that. It's not fucking loud. Sure, there was a chance that it was all an act and he could have a horrible meeting, but he couldn't finish the thought when the person that passed the building outside suddenly seemed nervous and unhappy. I think she's here. He stared bothered at the glass doors that were the main entrance, expecting to have something horrible step into his view. And then he saw her. Exactly how he had imagined her. A big pile of black slime, slowly moving toward the door like a snail. He felt his throat tighten upon seeing the purple trail she was leaving behind her. Everything about this creature made him feel sick. To even be confronted with this thing was unnatural. Are we hiring a Shoggoth? Dude. Like, one, that's a little terrifying. But two, a Shoggoth that can write beautifully? Hire this lady. I almost said a horrible thing about a good person. No, not gonna do that. Suddenly only wanted to turn around, go in his office, and forget to ever have invited her. His instincts just begged him to hide from that being that crawled towards him like the tide trying to drown him. But it was too late for that now. The door slowly slid open, and she quickly seemed to notice the small man that awaited her. A Marish. Oh. That's not a show. I'm not getting a headache and losing my sanity. I don't know if you guys are. But that's what a Shoggoth's effect is on the living or whatever. Unless you're super high and insane, then it's just like the ugliest poodle you've ever seen. Creatures made entirely of nightmare slime. Slime that causes horrible pain, terrible memories, and is rated as heavy torture. A level 3 whose touch can make you go to a place worse than hell. She quietly, slowly approached him. He expected some kind of smell, but the slime seemed to at least not stink. Not that it made the situation much better. Oh. Okay. I'm starting to, like, piece things together here. She only stopped when standing in front of him about an arm's length of distance. Silence. Nobody said a word. Just silent, awkward stares were exchanged. Or at least Bankman assumed that it was like that, since the Marish didn't have eyes or even a face. But he had to be the bigger man if she actually was the same as during the phone call. Good morning. She moved. It might be a nod or maybe some kind of twitch, but she never replied. He sighed, which only made her shrink. What an interesting creature, he thought, before actually noticing how weird it was to think of a Marish like that. Clearing his throat, he straightened his back. My name is Banquin. We called? Again, the odd small movement. Rita. Again, silence. This creature was definitely not easy to deal with. In fact, if he wouldn't know her writing, he would never offer a job to anyone like this. So, shall we go to my office? She grew a bit again and moved as if looking around. In general, the movements of this thing were odd, but maybe this was some sort of fidgeting. So you can imagine her fidgeting very well with that personality. Could we do it here? Bangman just stared for a moment before frowning. Why here? She again began shrinking. The Cyclops simply assumed by now that this was her being depressed or intimidated. I don't want to touch too much here in case... Oh... You don't want to actually hurt people, but you can't help it because that's who you are. Oh, wow. That's fucking deep, dude! That's really deep! Really couldn't help himself but find her at least somewhat sympathetic, since her voice beckoned the listener to treat her kindly. It was just that frail and soft. It made her sound so weak and tragic despite the power she had. In case what? In case I don't get hired. Her voice was surprisingly strong and determined during those last few words. actually made Bankman swallow, feeling a bit guilty. The way she said it made him almost taste that she didn't expect to get hired at all. As if she was fully aware that he was indeed tempted to deny her the job simply based on what she was. So, the less I touch, the faster you can forget. He took a deep breath, feeling guilt slowly crawl up his spine. Catching a glance on the doorman behind his desk next to the entrance, he noticed that the guy was staring with curiosity. He had not really planned to discuss anything with her where people could hear. Then again, he had a carpet in his office that if he'd offered a chair, that would get ruined as well. So he almost felt grateful that she offered this opportunity on her own. Alright. She rose again and sighed relieved. If he wouldn't know better, he'd think that this terrifying creature was 3 times more stressed than he was. That's probably the case. Like, interviews are scary fucking things. And yeah, they are. If you've not been around the job market very long, they're fucking terrifying. Especially if you have anxieties. He was just the son of a cyclops and a dwarf. One of the least intimidating creatures there might be. So, what is your educational background? I don't have one. But you can write, and fairly good at this as well. I teach myself. You're a self-taught writer? And you're fucking great? Okay. 1. That's... I would hire that person. Fucking hell. If I had the money and a publishing company, I would fucking hire this person. I felt quite impressed. I knew people with 18 years of education that didn't write half as good. Do you have any previous job experiences? I wasn't sure, but felt like she just stared at him. Which he could relate to. If someone would have asked him if a Marish could get a job, he would stare in disbelief as well. No. Well, it was awkward. He had held so many recruitment conversations, but usually those people had something. Anything. Couldn't even blame her for not having it. He wouldn't have given her anything either. Why did you apply to our company? He stared and took a confused step back when the creature suddenly changed color. Was this good? Was it bad? He had no idea. He'd never heard of a Marish going from black to purple pink? Purplish pink? I do see some blues. Can't even move. I really like your things. Aha! Very imprecise. He wasn't odd with this particular... with its research studies on creature biology and behavior, or The Gatekeeper. I especially enjoyed the political analysis there. The reader's discussion, too. And your novels even have a 26% chance of getting prizes, which is a quite amazing rate. Not to forget that such great authors and journalists work here. I've been a fan of Charlton Henner's forever, and if it weren't for Jenny Orta, I might have never picked up reading to begin with. Bankman just stared while the creature seemed to really enjoy herself slowly, getting excited while citing authors and magazines, explaining why she enjoyed them. She even included some of the political and social statements that the board of directors had published here and there. Her center gently changed colors like one of those mood lightings, going from pink to a light purple to violet and back. He was certain by now that this was apparently a good thing. At the point where she began to swoon over the history of the company, where she knew significantly more than even Bankman, he felt the need to stop her. Thank you, miss. She instantly shrank, this time even more than before. In fact, she was now about his size, maybe even a bit smaller. It was an odd thing to see. So you tend to become like that? Find a career as promising as our other authors? No. He stared as she instantly shot up and answered in a loud and clear voice. She seemed to notice it herself and consequently began to melt again. I mean, it'd be nice, but I'm never gonna be that good. Fuck your couch! Coming here and putting yourself down like that. If it impressed Bankman here, it's probably fucking great. You have passion. And the only thing holding that passion back, and that skill back, is the fact that racist people fucking are terrified of Marish. I'm hiring this lady. I better fucking hire this lady by the end of this game, or I'm gonna be pissed. began to slowly feel empathy for her. It was really weird, but somewhere in all that terrifying mud was a woman with talent, excitement, and a smart, well, maybe a brain, maybe something similar to one. I don't know, whatever a brain the slime has. And all that hid under a big layer of insecurity, fear, and shyness. An apparently deadly slime. And scary slime. Lots of that, yeah. As odd as it even sounded to him, he actually felt the desire to pull her out of that. Your techs are amazing for an amateur. I believe if we'd train you properly, you could become that good. Maybe even better. She changed color again and swayed from one side to the other, apparently embarrassed. So, she's blushing. He chuckled, only to force his face to be neutral again when he noticed the doorman stare hard enough to drill a hole into his head. Your writing has weaknesses, but those come from your missing proper education. But that's something we can manage. Granted that you want to give it a try. Waited and the creature before him seemed to calm down a bit, apparently thinking. You mean... He knew what she was asking. I'm offering you the position you applied for. Something clattered and he could see the doorman pick up the cup or whatever he had dropped. But he tried not to get distracted and keep eye contact. Or well, stare at where there might be eyes. But you're no longer interested? No, I am. Didn't even twitch this time when she raised her voice, though she apparently got scared of herself. I mean, are you sure? I'll have to talk with my superior about the exact details of your contract, such as your level of entry, area, and where we publish your articles. But other than that, yes. Might hire you as a part-time worker, though. At first, though. You have no background that we could use to trust that those texts were actually made by you. The payment is only minimum wage, and some of your articles might not get published. But if you leave a good impression, then we will employ you as a full-time member. Silence. Though for different reasons. Bankman was letting his words sink in. The Marish was probably simply stunned. The doorman, well, Georgie was currently not exactly doing good. Then a deep sigh. Her voice sounded broken, as if she was struggling not to cry. He found it almost adorable, though it felt weird to think like that about a Marish. Thank you. I'll send you your contract to the address you provided. Sign it and send it back to us within a week. She moved, probably nodding. Bankman took a deep sigh, contemplating on whether or not to say something else. He felt he had no need to. He had to. I hope you sign. Huh? Honestly, I was terrified at first when I heard you who sent me something. But I really enjoy your writing, and I am certain that our readers will as well. So if you're actually passionate for what you're doing, sign it. Join us. He gave her a supportive smile which caused her to react again. They finally bid each other farewell before she quietly slid out of the building and disappeared around the corner. But he felt good with his decision. When his secretary reacted shocked upon hearing that he would hire her, he simply smiled to himself. He would have never believed to say this, but a Marish wasn't that bad. Not in general, at least. And indeed, when they had sent her the contract, it actually came back signed the very next day. She started as a freelancer for the moment, paid on delivery as had been agreed. A choice that Bankman would soon regret. He was yet unaware of that now. He didn't even know of the impact that his decision to hire her would make for the future. That he had, without knowing, changed her life forever. And consequently, the lives of many, many more. But that would be a different story. Aww! Yay! We did it! We hired the Nightmare Slime! And had a lot of a deep moment and feels and stuff. But it led to a good resolution? It's a happy ending! Happy feels! Love me some happy feels. I don't want to go through the other endings. I really don't want to go through the other endings. I'm thinking there's some bad ending shit there and we're gonna die or something. I don't want to. I'm happy with this outcome. This is my headcanon. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe for more. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you to TKR, Shro, and Levio for supporting me on Patreon this month, and you can get the game yourself in the description below. See the other endings if you like. Maybe there's a better one. Maybe some worse ones. I don't know. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!